Thank you, sir. I think it was high time that we discuss this very important issue which is plaguing the world, and it is a privilege that during the all-party meeting, the Lok Sabha leader of our party, Sudeep Bandyopadhyay ji, he raised the topic that COVID needs serious, detailed discussion in the House. So when we are discussing it today, I wish to thank all the speakers who have already spoken. But I would like to point out that when we started with this disease nearly 2 years back, we were ridiculed. At the end of 2019, whether it was August or it was December, is still to be decided when the Chinese city of Wuhan saw the first set of diseases. We were banned from wearing masks in the House, particularly in the Rajya Sabha. Our honorable members, they were directed to leave the House or remove the masks. That just goes to prove how immature in thinking this government is and how unaware they are.
Yes, madam. Don't quote the proceedings of Rajya Sabha, it's against the rule.
We were not allowed to wear masks in the parliament, and the government was unaware of the very serious condition of this disease. This disease is one of the respiratory apparatus. Now, I am not an entomologist, I am not an epidemiologist, I am not a virologist. But as an ordinary person, ordinary doctor, you see, I would like to remind this august House of the devastation seen some hundreds of years ago, when Europe was absolutely devastated with plague. Or after that, smallpox was there in the United States of America. After which, a lot of stories made the rounds regarding the advent of smallpox in the United States of America. So maybe hundreds of years down the line, some stories are going to emerge regarding the advent of this particular virus. Because as we studied, virus is a self-limiting disease. Virus kills itself on the way as it goes on creating disease. Here we see this virus is not dying. This virus is mutating. Mutating means it is changing its character so that it is becoming immune to therapy and it is killing more people. So this mutating virus, is it man-made? Then how was it created and how was it let loose amongst the world? Is a big question which a lot of researchers are thinking about. Now, due to the coronavirus, since 2019 we've lost so many lives. Usually it takes about 5 to 10 years to produce a vaccine. But my salutation here on this august House, this platform, is to the researchers and the doctors who have worked and devised the vaccine within 8 to 10 months after advent of the disease. And the salutation also goes out to the doctors who were working. They were the frontline fighters all over the world. You see, we can't keep on a mask for 1 or 2 hours. We can't speak with the mask on because it suffocates us. But the doctors were putting on the PPE, the personal protective equipment, in the sweltering heat of the month of May and looking after patients, trying to revive them, trying to resuscitate them. They were going through so much of dehydration. More than 700 doctors died in 2020 and more than that in 2021. Nurses have lost their lives. ASHA workers and police people have lost their lives. My salutation goes out to all of them who have been the frontline warriors. This is a war. This is not a disease. This is like a world war. And we are facing the war. We are with the people. We have to be with the people. This government should have been more careful because the vaccines that were produced within a very short span of time has not been used properly. We advertised that we've completed 100 billion, but what about the second dose? Why can't we complete the second dose which we were supposed to complete by December or January? Why haven't we done it yet? Also, there is suggestion by the experts all over the world that people who are over the age of 65, who have comorbidities, they should be given the booster doses. What is the policy of this government regarding the booster doses? What is the policy of this government regarding inoculating or vaccinating the children or the young adults, because they are our future? Now, when so many people have died, the doctors are sometimes blamed. I don't want to name the person, but an honorable speaker was just now blaming the doctors. The doctors have fought this battle on their own here, without ventilators, without oxygen supply, without oxygen concentrators. I would rather suggest and request honorable minister sitting here that after the time of independence and before that, there was an Indian medical service like Indian administrative service. Why don't we bring back that Indian medical service in which there are medical administrators who will look after the administration part of the medical calamities and also the delivery system? Because we might see more of this that we are seeing today. The World Health Organization has brought out advisories on the 26th of November because they are quite worried about the mutation. There are spike proteins on this virus, and there are nearly 30 mutations on the spike proteins. What does the spike protein do? It attaches itself. This virus, it enters through the nose and mouth. It remains within the air spaces behind our nose for a day or two, and then it travels downwards to the respiratory apparatus, that is the lining of the lungs. It prevents us from breathing. The severe adult respiratory syndrome related to the COVID-19 is because the lining of the air spaces is affected by this virus. And that is why the advisory is to cover the nose and mouth so that the virus doesn't enter. That is the advisory, that you stay away from the next person at least 1 meter, that is 3 feet, preferably 6 feet, so that when he's speaking, when the person is breathing, we don't transmit the disease. The advisory is that you keep the windows and doors of the room open, have the fan on, so that there is ventilation and the virus goes out. These are the advisories being given out by these experts, so that we prevent this virus from entering through our nose and affecting our lungs. And the World Health Organization has now designated this variant as B.1.1.529, a variant of concern. They are very concerned. World Health Organization is very concerned with this particular variant, Omicron, which seems to be much more dangerous than the previous ones, the Delta. And we had this Omicron suddenly on us. The advice of the WHO's Technical Advisory Group on Virus Evolution, they are suggesting that these mutations may have an impact on how this virus behaves, how it reacts to the vaccine, and how it kills the person. So we have to go through the WHO warnings and make our people aware. Generally, it has been seen that this virus is causing fever and it is giving us severe respiratory disorders. Particularly patients with comorbidity are prone to die. Now, it is not yet decided whether Omicron is more transmissible, whether it is transmitted more or not than the previous ones. But we have to be careful. The severity of the disease is also not yet decided because Omicron is pretty new in the field. But definitely, no information is still there to suggest that symptoms associated with the Omicron are different from those of the other variants. The vaccine, if 2 doses are given, it definitely prevents severe disease and death. But mild disease will still occur. And with the mild disease, there will be morbidity in the society. There may be increased risk of reinfection with Omicron for people who have previously had COVID-19 with other variants. So it is not that a person who's got COVID-19 before with another variant of Delta or the other ones, they will not get. They will also get the disease. So the vaccines remain critical to reducing the severe disease. Now it is said that India produces 60% of the world's requirement of vaccine. And a CEO, particular CEO based of a Pune-based firm, he is saying that he's got enough stock for the second dose for the whole of the country. Then why our government here, instead of vaccinating with the second dose, the whole of the country's population had to export the vaccine? For whose benefit was vaccine exported and not given to our own people? Why isn't there any advisory regarding the booster doses? Because the government is trying to deprive the citizens of India and earn brownie points from outside other countries. I'm not saying you don't help other countries. If we have access, we'll definitely help other countries. Everybody should be self-sufficient. But why we cannot complete the second dose and why we cannot give the booster dose to our elderly people, it simply beats me. I don't understand. And the treatment, as far as this new variant is concerned, is still to prevent the cytokine storm that is related to the injection of the corticosteroids and the interleukin-6. But whether the remdesivir that has been useful for the previous variants will be effective here or not, whether their claimed drug, a particular company is claiming that the drugs have been brought out, whether we are aware of it in the government, whether we have enough stock of the drug, we would like to know. The House wants to know whether we have the drug, enough stock of the drug to help us, because it is said that this drug will prevent this disease, this will cure the disease, and the most effective steps that we can take is by maintaining the distance and also wearing the masks. There is no two way about that. Omicron has about 50 mutations, including more than 30 mutations on the spike proteins. The region of the virus that binds to and allows the virus to enter the human cell is the spike protein. One reason scientists are raising early concerns about Omicron, even before it has proven itself to be a true threat, is because it contains several mutations that made earlier variants, the alpha, beta, and gamma, delta, more transmissible and better able to evade the immune response. We, after vaccination, get an immune response. But this is evading the immune response. So we have to be more careful. Fortunately, the vaccine responses aren't all or nothing. It's not that, even after vaccination, the body doesn't respond. The body will take some response. The body will respond to the virus. So severe disease will be prevented. Death will be prevented by only giving the vaccine. The only answer to the disease now is vaccination, complete vaccination with 2 doses for the whole of the population. That is as far as the vaccination goes. As far as the scientific basis goes, the evidence is clear that the type of the immune response from the heterologous approach of a particular brand of vaccine, that is the AstraZeneca or the Johnson & Johnson, followed by an mRNA vaccine such as the Pfizer or biotech, induces superior neutralizing and cell-mediated immune response than 2 doses of a non-replicating vector vaccine. That is, they're saying you mix up the vaccine, that gives you better, larger area of action for the virus to be trapped.
Yes, madam.
Immediately, high-risk groups should be given the boosters. And the question remains whether the government is prepared to let us know the status of the ventilators available, the number of ventilators, because we've seen the PM Care Fund fail drastically. We have seen how laborers were affected adversely when sudden lockdown was announced. There was loss of GDP, loss of earning for them. So what the government has done to take care of that? There should not be any haphazard lockdown as far as the World Health Organization data goes. They are saying there is no need of lockdown just right away. You can keep the airports open, travel open, but with the mask on. That is what the advisory says. So what is, the House wants to know, what is the plan of the government? How do you propose, thank you, how do you propose to protect the people, the citizens? And how do you propose to stand by the doctors who've been working so hard? There weren't any ventilators. There was lack of oxygen supply. There was lack of oxygen concentrators. How do you propose to stand by the different communities, the different sectors of people who have lost their jobs? And what is the growth? What was the growth in the last few years? How many total beds has the government prepared? Like in West Bengal, our Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, she's kept even today 30,000 beds ready for any type of calamity, any type of third wave if it comes along. So what is the total number of beds kept ready, COVID beds in the country? What is the total number of oxygen supply? What is the total oxygen production here in the country? How many vaccines are still there that people are looking at? What is the stock of the medicine that is being said to cure the disease? And what is the idea of compensating the people who've lost their lives in the COVID? What is the idea for the people who are suffering and not getting any jobs because of the COVID? They've lost their jobs. What is the government's proposal? We want a complete status report. A decision has to be made how we are going to tackle this if the third wave comes or if Omicron becomes bigger than what we have experienced in the past. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.